The bulk of childcare and less secured jobs. Once I saw you do it on social media, I thought, right, I've got to get involved. And actually, it just breaks things up, doesn't it? I thought life is really hard at the moment. We're doing the same things every day and got the kids involved. I did have to bribe them with some chocolate, but we enjoyed it, and that's the main thing. It wasn't particularly good, but who cares?
Very, very impressive effort.
Just to let you know, something else we're looking
at over the last few months.
Yeah, and today we're focusing on the impact particularly on women, and of course we know there are inequalities in the workplace with women. We take the bulk of labour when it comes to childcare, also insecure jobs, but this is highlighted that when the economy takes a hit, it is women who suffer more, not just economically but their mental and physical health. And MPs have been looking at this in detail, and there's a report out later by a cross-party group of MPs which highlights how women's work and finances have been affected. We'll be hearing some of their stories in a minute, but first here's what the report found. So first of all, furlough, the government scheme to support workers' jobs and their salaries. Well, the report found that women are more likely to be employed on insecure contracts. As a result of that, they are less likely to have their incomes topped up to 100% by their employer. And it's estimated that close to 2 million people are out of work at the moment, and this report indicates that women are a third more likely to work in those sectors like retail and hospitality, which have been hardest hit by lockdowns. The research also shows that women spend 2/3 more time on childcare than men, and with schools closing, of course, that means their work is much more likely to be compromised and even lost. And before COVID, the government said hopefully afterwards there are big plans to create jobs in construction, science, technology and engineering. Now, these are industries where women are traditionally underrepresented, and the report says the government needs to do something about that. So what is life like for the women behind these statistics? Alex Forsyth has been speaking to some of them. We asked the government about this, and they told us that they've done whatever it takes to protect lives and livelihoods. They point to the self-employment scheme, which they say has protected work for 1.7 million women, and they also say they want to try for greater flexible working, which could mean parents more equally sharing home at work and work at home. And actually, this could be one of the legacies of this. The report recommends that flexible working isn't just encouraged and normalised, but is actually protected by legislation. So that could be a really positive outcome. And as ever, we love to hear from our audience on this, because there will be men as well, of course, who've had to compromise their careers because of COVID.
Absolutely. Nina, thank you.
The bulk of childcare and less secured jobs.
Morning, Nina.
Yeah, some of this is unsurprising. So we've long known that women do more at home, that they on average get paid less, that their jobs are more vulnerable when there's a crisis. But this has brought into sharp focus how quickly things get harder for women. You know, MPs have been looking at this in detail. There's a report out later by a cross-party group of MPs highlighting how women's work and finances have been affected. So first of all, furlough. Now, that is the government scheme to support workers' jobs and salaries. The report found that women are more likely to be employed on insecure contracts. As a result, they are less likely to have their incomes topped up to 100% by their employer. And it's also estimated that close to 2 million people are currently out of work, and the report indicates that women are a third more likely to work in the sectors like retail and hospitality, which have been hardest hit by the lockdowns. Research also shows that women spend 2/3 more time on childcare than men do, and with schools closing, that means their work is much more likely to be compromised and possibly lost. The research shows that women spend 2/3 more time on childcare. Sorry, I've just told you that. And also, that's it. The Women and Equalities Commission, who morning, and we started by saying this, much of this is unsurprising. More domestic labour taken up by women, they're lower paid, less secure contracts. But interesting that the government schemes have been skewed towards men, so exacerbated this problem. How so? From the statistics behind this, 90% of lone parents are women, so obviously they're going to take a greater hit when schools aren't fully open. 83% of care home workers are women. So really it needs to start sooner, doesn't it, in the types of careers men and women are looking. I've heard from lots of men, specifically self-employed men, who say we just don't have the opportunity to look after our children in the way that women do when we go into paternity leave, for example. If we're on a higher salary, that isn't met. So do we need to look at paternity rights being radically enhanced? The recommendations say that flexible working should now be normalised and indeed enshrined by legislation. And it could be that long term, some of the things that have been exposed by COVID, by working conditions that women are under, that might be one of the benefits that comes from it.
Yeah, Nina, that's lots of really good points there. Thank you very much. We're going to try and show some of them
special,
a little bit later. I'm collecting them. Don't give it away.